Baran Barai Bala Baran Mundi Wagara Warrior Bilgagane Yambo 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 Warrigo Monan. Baran Barai Bala Baran Mundi. My name's Greg Griffiths, born and bred in Gunnedah, descendant of the Gomeroi people, Kamilaroi people, in the northwest area of New South Wales. This story is of a man called Red Kangaroo, Kumba Gunnedah, and this story was handed down from one of our old men that was written down by the Ewing family and handed down to the ancestors of the Gomeroi people. This story begins on a lagoon, the Burrell Lagoon, just out of Gunnedah, where two young girls, Weedar and Dagai, spotted a war party from the Griffiths tribe who came to fight the Gunnedah Gomeroi people. When they were spotted, they ran back to the camp at Malabar Lagoon, and all of the lagoon packed up. They moved up onto Porcupine Ridge, Bindia, where the ladies sent out a smoke signal to Red Kangaroo, who was on an emu hunt at Breeza, 40 mile away. Receiving the smoke signal and reading the message in it, he realised there was danger back in Gunnedah. So him and his 9 warriors set off, running all the way back from Breeza, running all the way and arriving in Gunnedah that afternoon. All that night, Red Chief, before the Griffiths attacked, thought of a strategy of how to beat them, because most of his warriors were out on hunts, were out hunting. So there was a natural wallaby trap that my people used to hunt in, where they would trap the wallabies, the kangaroos, in an area where the wilga and the yarran grew very thick and was very impenetrable for them to go through. So overnight, Red Kangaroo put his warriors either side of the wallaby trap and moved the main camp up to the head of the wallaby trap to lure the Griffiths into this area where they wanted to fight them. Next morning, the Griffiths walked up into the wallaby trap, and speared were coming from all over the trap behind the thickets of the wilga and the yarran, spearing the Griffiths people. There was 80 of the Griffiths and 30 of the Gunnedah Gomeroi. With this trap being set overnight and the spears being thrown over the trap into the Griffiths mob, it killed half of the Griffiths men. Then, in the confusion, the Griffiths run back down to their camp. Some run back towards their country, and Red Kangaroo chased them back all the way back to the Griffiths country, killing them along the way. This story was written down by J.P. Ewing, one of the first early settlers here in Gunnedah, who became a constable here. J.P. Ewing absconded off a boat in Melbourne and ended up here in the Gunnedah area. During his time here, he formed a relationship and friendship with one of our old men, Bungaree. And near the end of his life, after Red Chief's tree was cut down and his bones removed from his grave, and near the ending of Bungaree's life, he approached Ewing to tell him the story of that battle. And why Bungaree told him the story, J.P. Ewing and his son Stan recorded that story in what they are now known as the Ewing documents. And a book was later wrote about that story from Bungaree, the Red Chief, written by Einel Idris maybe, in the 1950s. That document helped Idris write that story, a factual story of a battle that took place here in the Gunnedah area before contact. A real story of traditional times living here in the Gunnedah area. This is a story about young Aboriginal men and women standing in the face of adversity when they have to fight their own battles in life. And it is a reality of a battle just to survive. You know, through education, through work, through all of those, fighting for your family, working, being the breadwinner, all those things are a battle in life. And if there's hurdles, then you've got to fight those battles. But, you know, in the face of adversity, that Red Chief and his warriors and his ladies and all the women and children and old men shown that 2 days, and in the face of adversity and the courage they had to reach deep down the sides and fight that battle. It's not about this. It's not about blacks fighting blacks. It's about finding that place inside of them, about the courage and the will of survival, and looking after their family, looking after their place, making sure that their place is right. And that's the sort of legacy or the message that that I hope that this story can offer our young people. You know, they've got to fight their own battles in their life, and they can find that strength, the strength that Red Chief had to find, and his people and his warriors and his men and women, and all the women that were here. I'm standing at a place now called Burugala. This place is where it's recorded that the emu dance was done, representing that emu in the sky and our connection and relationship to that emu. And that emu and that kangaroo travel through here, going over to the Warrumbungles, and recorded in the Pilliga caves and the sandstone caves of that emu and that kangaroo travelling together. And that emu and that kangaroo travel all over the country. But this is a place here, Burugala, where the emu dance was done. I'll just do this little song. I found this in one of Ridley's writings, this song. It's a song, it's in the recording, it says this is a welcome song of the Kamilaroi people. It's done at a festive or a warlike occasion, so it's a pretty sort of just, you know, not every day, but a really sort of generic or common one that's used at all those occasions. As, you know, if it's corroboree ceremonial stuff where people are coming into country or whether they're going into battle. And the song, I don't know its full translation, but it's mainly about get your weapons, look after your people, save your people, be prepared to fight. We're just pretending at the moment, but it would get real if people misbehave or disrespect place. It's about behaviour, and that song is a very powerful meaning, and I'll just do it. Baran Barai Bala Baran Mundi Wagara Warrior Bilgagane Yambo 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 Warrigo Monan. Baran Barai Bala Baran Mundi Wagara Warrior Bilgagane Yambo 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 Warrigo Monan. Baran Barai Bala Baran Mundi Wagara Warrior Bilgagane Yambo 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 Warrigo Monan. I like to break barriers down. I don't like to put them up. Rather, join one another in our identity and future, rather than separate us from it. You separate yourself from your culture, then you're doing yourself an injustice, and you're doing your ancestors an injustice and disrespecting them, about that connection with each other, of who we are as Aboriginal people and who we are as, as caretakers of country and caretakers of laws and customs and culture.